It's Wednesday, April the 26th. Lake level is right at 916 and a half. It looked like it crested early this morning, and it's been coming down slowly now. They're still generating a bunch of water. It actually come up about a foot, almost foot and a half from that rain that we had last weekend. We had 2 or 3 inches of rain. But the water temperature, about 57 degrees in the morning, depends where you're at. I found, this weekend I found some mid 60s. And I'll tell you where that warmer water temperature was. But, the fish are in full spawn right now. No matter where you go on the lake, if you look, you can find fish on beds. And some of them, there's a few of them that are done. I'm catching some post-spawn fish and actually seeing fry in some of the areas as well. But if you're up around the dam area, I was up there this weekend. That water visibility up there, it's a good 12, 13 foot. It's gin clear. And you can see beds out there 10, 12 feet deep in some areas. And there's some good fish on beds. But down there, other than bed fishing, I'm kind of struggling. Now, the only way I seem like I can get a swim bait bite on a 2.8 or 3.3 Kitech, no matter where I'm at on the lake, I've got to be around shad. And a lot of times you'll be in these creeks and you'll either see the shad flipping or you'll see them on your electronics. Usually if I find that, I can catch some swim bait fish underneath them. But the most consistent thing for me has been a jig, shaky head, split shot worm. Now, up in the White River, I've been up there for a few days and the bite's been really good up there. The problem is the slime, the moss. Some areas it's really bad. And down at the dam, I didn't have any issues with moss. Kimberling City's pretty good. Ants Creek, the James is good. I think the worst moss seems to be from Baxter up towards Shell Knob. But also that's got some of the best color in the lake. The other day it was at about Campbell Point. There was a real distinct mud line coming down the lake. And I think yesterday it moved down another mile or so. It's down there around point 19. So it may be pretty close to Baxter by today. But that water up in there, it looks a little nasty in the main river. But if you get back into pockets and the creek arms, it's got real nice color to it. With the sun on it, it's warming up a lot quicker. And I've had a lot better bite up in that area. And the way I've been catching most of them, like I say, the most consistent has been what we used to throw years ago. It's just I'm throwing a Zoom Fish Doctor and a Zoom Centipede. And I'm just throwing it on a little split shot rig, 1 or 2/0 hook, putting a little 3/16 or 1/4 ounce split shot up there, 16 inches to 2 foot, and just Texas rigging it. And setting the boat in about 12 to 15 foot of water, and pretty much got to fish the bait really slow. I think a lot of the fish that I'm catching, that we're catching on this is, and you can kind of tell on the bites, a lot of times when it's just a mush or it just gets heavy and you don't even feel the bite, I think those are fish that are actually spawning, that are picking it up off beds, trying to get it off there. And like I say, up there in that White River area, the visibility is only about a foot, foot and a half, so you can't see any of the beds. But we've also been able to catch the fish up there in the same areas on a shaky head. Now, some of the bites you'll get, the fish will knock the crap out of it, and those seem to be a little bit better fish. Those are ones that haven't spawned or some that have already spawned, and they're actually feeding. Where a lot of times them bedding fish, that real light bite, they're just picking the bait up, trying to move it off the bed. But this is a new 5-fish lures. Brian Snowden designed it. It's a shaky head. And I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I'm really not a real big shaky head guy because they get hung up. But this little bait's amazing. I've been fishing it through brush, around timber. And one of the key things about it is on the spring when you go to put your bait on there. A lot of them are really hard to screw on, but this one's got a little deal that comes right out the center. It's real easy to just poke in the worm. And what I've been throwing, it's a big bite, 5-inch, super salty stick. And I've been throwing, it's like a watermelon red, And I've been dipping, I think I got this one dipped here. I've been dipping the little tail and little chartreuse, especially in that dirty water. And I've been throwing like a 1/4 ounce to a 3/8 ounce shaky head. I've been throwing it on 12-pound line on a bait caster. You can probably go, if you're throwing it on spinning gear, you can go, you know, a 3/16 or a 1/4. And these are available now. I know at Extreme Outdoors has them in stock, but it's really been working out real well. And a lot of times with these 5-inch salty sticks, salty trick stick, what I'll do is when they kind of get wore out, I'll just save them and cut them in half and use them for a Ned rig bait. And I've been catching, you know, several fish on the Ned too, but the split shot seems to be a little bit better. And let me see, one of these, oh, it's this one right here. It's the same worm, but it's a Nico rig, and it actually has an O-ring poured right into the bait. So if you're going to wacky rig it, and you can also catch some fish up there wacky rigging around the bushes. We've been doing that some as well. And also in the bushes, I've been catching them on a jig. And what I've been throwing there is an ultimate cover jig. And depending on the water clarity, where the water's got quite a bit of that stain, I'm throwing like either California 420 or Okeechobee Craw. I think the blue works out real well. You know, it's got a good little flash to it when the sun's out. And also in that stained water, I'm trying on the Centipede and Fish Doctor, I'm trying to use like a watermelon red or green pumpkin red. I think that red, especially when the sun's out and that stained water, gives off a little bit more flash. Fish can see it a little better. If I'm in gin clear water, I'll throw a straight green pumpkin or watermelon. But, you know, I fished all over the lake. This past weekend I was up in the James, and I found water temperature up there 65, 67 degrees. And I was in the backs of some of those creeks, up the James and up in the White as well, been able to catch some squarebill fish. Like I've been throwing a Spro Fat Poppy 55, either in like a citrus shad, or like in a Strike King, a 1.5 or a 2.5 will work in a sexy shad color. And I've also thrown some red ones as well. I'm not getting a ton of squarebill bites, but usually when we do, it's a, you know, quality fish, 2.5 to 3 pound fish. In some of those areas, you can flip the bushes as well or throw a Cinco. So there's just a lot of different things going on. I think the bite's getting a little bit better. I mean, we're catching 7 to 10 keepers a day, you know, just mixing it up on different baits. A little bit of a topwater bite, but the topwater bite's going to get better, as is the jig bite. You know, as more of them fish get done spawning and they concentrate on feeding back up, the bite's going to get a lot better. But, you know, it looks like we got some more rain the next 3 days coming in. If the water will get up into the bushes, I found the other day that the lake come up a foot, and I caught fish the next day out of bushes that were out of water the day before. So, you know, if you get the right area, the fish are moving right up into them bushes in some areas. And it doesn't have to be stained. If you got 1.5 foot or 2 foot of water in the bushes, try throwing a jig in there, or a Texas rig creature bait, brush hog. A lot of times you can see the bottom of the bush. I don't know where the fish come from, but when you get a bait in there, all of a sudden you'll see a flash, you know. But, you know, there's a lot of different things working. Regardless of what you do, I find you still got to be real methodic and fish slow. Even on the squarebill, it's not like I'm burning it down the bank. I'm just trying to work it around the cover and the structure, and, you know, cover as much water as I can, but cover it methodically. So, till next week, good luck, good fishing.